Republicans are now spreading incredibly dangerous lies about wildfire relief fundraising at the direct expense of Americans who just lost everything. And I need your help getting the correct info out there as fast and as far and wide as possible. So here's the situation. This week, the hosts of the Pod Save America podcast launched a fundraiser for victims of the wildfires. All of the money that they raised through this fundraiser will be dispersed to nonprofits working on the ground in LA and providing direct relief to wildfire victims. This includes the Regional Food Bank, it includes the Firefighters Foundation, and it includes a community wildfire relief fund. Incredibly important organizations, and all of the money from this fundraiser are going directly to them. The donations for this fundraiser are being collected through an ActBlue fundraising page that was set up explicitly for this purpose. This is a genuinely incredible thing. The hosts of this podcast have a collective audience of tens of millions of Americans, and they're leveraging that audience directly to help the victims who just lost everything in a wildfire. So you would think that Republicans would have no problem with this, right? Wrong. They are now falsely accusing the hosts of this podcast and the people holding this fundraiser of diverting disaster relief funds, and they're attempting to discourage people from donating to the fundraiser at all. Luckily, this happens to be my personal area of professional expertise. I'm a digital strategist. I specialize in working with progressive nonprofits and campaigns, and I have more than a decade of experience directly in running digital fundraising campaigns. So let's quickly break down exactly what Republicans are claiming and then go over the many reasons why they are completely full of shit. In short, this lie from Republicans is centered entirely around the fact that the fundraising page is being hosted on ActBlue, which is a fundraising platform that is popular among Democrats. Republicans have had it out for ActBlue for years, launching attack after attack on them, literally holding bullshit congressional hearings about them. It's complete nonsense, but they have had it out for ActBlue for years. Their incentive for doing so is extremely clear. The overwhelming majority of Democratic political candidates use ActBlue for fundraising for their political campaigns. ActBlue has amassed a database of tens of millions, possibly hundreds of millions of progressive and left-leaning donors. So taking down ActBlue would kneecap the entire Democratic Party, drastically reducing their ability to fundraise and reach out to donors. So it's easy to see why Republican politicians would feel so motivated to attack this particular fundraising platform, right? For them, this isn't about helping wildfire victims. It's about hurting their opposition by starving them of money before future elections. So they just couldn't help themselves when they saw another opportunity arise to smear ActBlue and falsely accuse Democrats of something nefarious, even if it came at the direct expense of fellow Americans who just lost everything. Their argument in this instance is twofold. One, they point to the payment processing fees that are charged by ActBlue as proof of funds being siphoned off. And two, they insisted that the podcast host should instead simply link directly to the websites of every single local nonprofit and tell people to go donate directly to those nonprofits on their websites. So let's address each of these claims separately, very quickly. First, the processing fee one is easy. Every single time you use your debit or credit card, there is a payment processing fee that is charged. It doesn't matter if you are using your card in person or online. It doesn't matter if you are buying something or making a donation. Every single time that you use your card, a payment processing fee is being charged somewhere along the line. And that is because that fee is ultimately being charged by the bank or the financial institution that backs your card. So if you have a Discover card, for example, the payment processing fee is ultimately being charged by Discover. If you have a debit card connected to Chase Bank, the payment processing fee is being charged by Chase Bank. There is always a payment processing fee involved, including when you make online donations. So whether you are making a donation on GoFundMe, ActBlue, WinRed, which is the Republican version of ActBlue, Kickstarter, it doesn't matter. Every single one of those fundraising platforms charge a payment processing fee and then passes that fee along to the financial institutions that back the cards that made those donations. This was also true for the fundraiser that President-elect Donald Trump did. He used GoFundMe for that fundraiser. GoFundMe charges a payment processing fee. So unless these Republicans want to argue that Donald Trump was also diverting disaster relief funds, they have no argument in that regard. Their other argument was that the podcast host should simply link directly to every individual organization that they would be dispersing funds to and tell people to go make individual donations directly to those organizations. But thinking about this for even 2 seconds, it becomes very clear that this makes no sense. Think about how many people are going to sit at their computer when given a long list of organization names and links. How many people do you think are going to click through that entire list, go to each individual website, find their donation page, and then repeatedly, over and over again, type in all their information, give their credit card info, and make individual donations to a whole bunch of different organizations? Not very many people, right? So what would end up happening is the 1 or 2 top organizations at the top of the list would end up with a ton of the donations. And then the further down you got on the list, the fewer and fewer donations that each of those organizations would get. All of the organizations that they are dispersing funds to are critically important organizations, and each of them is providing a slightly different service or serving a slightly different audience. They all desperately need donations right now. So by having one central location that people can go and make one donation that then gets divided up to all of these organizations, they are able to make sure that funding is reaching all of the organizations and no community and no need is going unmet. And here's the thing, Republicans know that there is nothing sketchy about this fundraiser. They know that falsely smearing it will result in fewer donations and therefore fewer relief funds for our fellow Americans who are experiencing something horrific right now. They just don't care. At the end of the day, the Republican Party is willing to hurt as many people as they need to, just as long as they can maintain power at all costs. This bullshit lie is just another example of that.